Well, it's Groundhog Day, and Syracuse men's basketball was simply overshadowed by number 14 North Carolina. Well, it's Groundhog Day again, and that must mean Syracuse men's basketball got blown out again, this time at the hands of number 14 North Carolina. Well, it's Groundhog Day, and I mean, this is just pitiful. Syracuse men's basketball drops its fourth game of its last 5 and gets dominated at the Dean Dome. 87-77. What else is there to say but what a hype? What I do know is that my analysts Milo, Hoffman, and Alex Burstein are hyped up to break down another brutal outing for the Orange on Orange Press Pass, which starts right now. Rise and shine, campers. Another edition of Orange Press Pass is coming at you. We'll see how many Groundhog Day references I can get into this show. Max Gifford, Alex Burstein, and Milo Hoffman. Pleased to be with you for the next 30 minutes after Syracuse gets dominated by number 14 North Carolina. 87-77, the final. Guys, your initial takeaways after what seemed like it was going to be a domination, and then at the end, Syracuse somehow made it close?
Yeah, I mean, they made it close, but I'm not really buying this, and I think the moral of the story is you can't really trust this final score. Sure, it was a 10-point game because Syracuse had bit of a late run, and it was impressive. Went on a 35-10 run against the scrubs of UNC. But what really happened in this game, Syracuse was outplayed in every category. Points, obviously, assists, rebounds, had the worst players on the court pretty much the entire game. UNC showed it was a better team than Syracuse today, and that 10-point score, pretty darn misleading.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That is so misleading. If SU came back, that would have been absolutely bonkers. My first thought is I'm going to take a little lyric from Eminem, one of my favorite rappers. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. I'm not going to sing the whole song. I'll save it from that. But Syracuse is back in reality after that Notre Dame win. I was in the Dome for that game against Notre Dame. Was the best energy I've seen SU play with all season long. They take the trip to Chapel Hill against number 14 North Carolina, and SU is back for the worst. They came back to reality. This is SU. They're a bad basketball team overall, so that's my first thought. They're back, boys.
Will the real Syracuse men's basketball please stand up? Well, I think they might have today, although Alex Burstein might have been a little harsh calling them scrubs on North Carolina. The only other Eminem lyric I know is Mom's Spaghetti. But let's show you how this game broke down, because even if North Carolina's scrubs weren't until the end, Alex, I'll tell you what, Syracuse really didn't belong in this game early. They were looking like the scrubs out there, and the guy who made them look like scrubs was Caleb Wilson. He had a dominant game.
Yeah, and he can just do so many different things with his game, especially in the first half. It's the reason why UNC brought up such a big lead.
And they were just doing it all around, whether it was from beyond the arc. You saw the dunk from Jonathan Powell right there. Then Syracuse seemed to make some shots, but it was really only Donnie Freeman that was doing the scoring, Milo.
Only Donnie Freeman. I mean, he had almost half the SU points on the entire night. He can do it all. He can get to the cup, spin move in the paint right there, but really it's a problem if Donnie Freeman is the only person getting it done for SU.
Really seemed like at one point that he was the only one, because there was a point when he legitimately had half the points. Caleb Wilson also just seemed to dominate too. I mean, let's take another look at this. Not only does he beat the double team, makes Donnie jump for joy, the guy that was seemingly doing everything, puts him in the spin cycle, and then gets the easy lay to go. I mean, I would not be surprised if we see that guy get called in the top 3 of the draft in just a little bit. So then that led us to the end of the first half. You can see the score. It's not very pleasing. North Carolina went on a 13-0 run until that three-point bank shot by Donnie Freeman. I know he tried to look cool by walking to the locker room.
It was a little cold. It was cool.
It was
You're
pretty
losing
cool.
by double digits.
And Chris Paul hits the 3.
To cut the lead to what? 32,
Right.
Which is what North Carolina led by at one point in the second half. It just seemed like Syracuse came out with no fire out of the locker room.
And that's what a halftime speech is supposed to do. Something's not going right in the locker room for Adrian Autry and co.
Yeah, we might touch on that a bit later. I mean, there's more people that believe this than maybe just us. But then somehow Syracuse seemed to make this close once again. Nate Kings only had 2 points until the final 3 minutes. He makes 2 big threes. Then Kyan Anthony misses, and Syracuse just falls short, 87-77. But again, that box score might just be a little bit deceiving for the Orange, and you can tell why. I mean, Nate George was the second best player, and he still seemed out of place at times for this team.
I mean, last game against Notre Dame, Nate George had 10 assists and no turnovers. Now 4 assists for Nate George. SU had 7 assists as a team. I mean, that's a huge problem, not getting the ball around to all the players on the court. Caleb Wilson on it. We already touched on him. That's a top 5 pick right there. 22 points for the projected top 5 pick. He's impressive.
And how about Nate King's not attempting a three-pointer until the second half? This is supposed to be your sharpshooter. It just seemed like everyone was out of place on the court for Syracuse today. And when your players don't know their role in February, not going to win games.
And it's weird because Nate King has shown flashes of actually being a good shooter. And you have to imagine that these North Carolina students, despite it being a snow day, we're out celebrating on Franklin Street, hanging out at the bar. He's not here afterwards. But what I do know is that we have Hudson Ridley, our reporter here from Chapel Hill. I hope, Hudson, you go out and celebrate tonight as well. On what was a pretty snowy day in North Carolina, I can't imagine Syracuse was feeling well after that loss. What was the demeanor of the players after that contest?
You know, Max, it was pretty interesting. I thought that a couple of them seemed relatively fine, including J.J. Starling and Tyler Betsy, but there were some others who were pretty down. Donnie Freeman was about as down as I've ever seen him, especially considering he just came off 23-9, head hung low. He really didn't know where to place this loss on what it was. Kyan Anthony seemed in good spirits, but when talking to him, he did point out a couple critiques of what this team has to get better on. Adrian Autry, you can tell, is drilling him, and it doesn't really feel like stuff is sticking. Right now, they don't seem to be in a great spot, at least emotionally, after this loss.
Hudson, we've talked about that late run that Syracuse had that went on the 35-10 spout at one point. Was that actually impressive basketball from SU, or was it more just UNC taking a seat back at the end?
No, I think it was actually impressive basketball, and that's really difficult to do. It's a top 15 team in the country, and you outpace them 35-10. I don't care at what point of the game it is. The shooting looked better. The ball movement was good. The intensity was there on defense. The only issue was, at one point, they trailed by 32, and you're not going to win a ball game if you trail by 32 at some point. So does it matter in the grand scheme of the box score? No. But does it matter in terms of what they showed they could do against the number 14 team in the country on the road? The atmosphere was still there. Certainly does. Autry talked about it in the press conference, though. It's consistency. That's what matters. Can you string that together for a full 40 minutes? If they did, Syracuse might have had a shot in that game, but they didn't, especially around the last couple minutes of the first half, the first couple minutes of the second. That was ball game by that point.
Hey, Hudson, thank you so much for joining us. Someone this year for Syracuse that's been very impressive is William Kyle. He's had his nights where he's jumping out of the dome, but tonight he was kind of silent. He almost disappeared, just 2 points for the big man. What happened to William Kyle today?
Well, it's physicality, and a lot of it from North Carolina. Caleb Wilson is a particularly talented defender, and even though he didn't have the William Kyle matchup, his help defense made a lot of William Kyle looks a lot more difficult. Also, William Kyle just wasn't shooting the ball, and I think a lot of times where he's at his best is when the Orange are passing around. They only had 7 assists tonight. They're passing around, they're moving the ball, and then William Kyle is open on the back door, and he can knock it home. That is where William Kyle is at his best. When North Carolina is switching the amount that they did, there's no way William Kyle can get to the spots and the looks that he likes, and it leaves him kind of isolated. So he started having to kick out to different places, and it kind of changed the offense a lot. Credit that a lot more to the North Carolina defense than the Syracuse offense.
Well, even if William Kyle wasn't playing to his potential, I think Hudson Ridley is always at his best when he's on the air. Hudson, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the night in Chapel Thrill. And we got plenty more coverage on Orange Press Pass. When we come back, Alex Burstein and Milo Hoffman break down a little more of this beatdown of the Orange by the Tar Heels. Orange Press Pass, back in a moment. It's on Big Monday that North Carolina cruises past Syracuse 87-77. We're back on Orange Press Pass. Max Gifford, Alex Burstein, and Milo Hoffman to break down this loss on Big Monday. And I'll be honest, I don't really think the Orange belonged on that program one bit. There are plenty of other teams that were in action on Big Monday as well, most notably Kansas and Texas Tech going in it. That's a true top 15 matchup. And right now, Kansas handing it to the Red Raiders and not even through the whole game yet.
Coming down to the wire in that one. It's a close one, top 15 matchup between the Jayhawks and the Raiders. Looking forward to see how that one finishes off. St. John's, though, in action on Tuesday. They've won 7 in a row, trying to make it 8 in a row against DePaul. Really looking forward to see what St. John's has in store, trying to get back in a groove here, ranked number 22 in the nation.
I'm excited for that Ohio game. They just cannot lose. A perfect record to start the season, that number 23 ranking. Maybe it's a little bit disrespectful. I haven't played a lot of good teams, but you can't lose. I mean, give them a little boost.
Similar to Josh Schertz's St. Louis team in the bottom right corner, the Billikens have just been off the charts over the last stretch, and the fact that Josh Schertz was buying shots for fans after the game, that was quite the sight to see. And I should apologize. I said Kansas was dominating Texas Tech. Texas Tech is beating Kansas at this point.
Yep.
So I might need to
you can see into the future.
I know. I mean, I wish I could see into the future and tell you what's in store for this Syracuse team, but I could have told you before this night started that North Carolina was going to dominate, although I might have told you at the start that maybe the Tar Heels, were dominating a lot more than they were. And on the ACC side of things, Syracuse has still continued to struggle. And upcoming this week rather, there's plenty of more tests before the Orange are back in action.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that Virginia-Pittsburgh game tomorrow night. Obviously, Syracuse plays Virginia this weekend, but that Cavaliers team, despite being top 20, single-digit wins against Boston College and Notre Dame in the last week, so have been tested pretty well. We'll see if Pittsburgh can put them over the edge.
I'm curious to see how much Duke beats Boston College by. I mean, Boston College 9-12. Duke, the number 4 team in the nation, just 1 loss on the season for the Blue Devils. And of course, Syracuse has a meeting with Duke coming up later in the season, so we'll see how the Orange fare against Duke.
Well, Boston College did in fact beat Syracuse in overtime, so maybe it wasn't a shock that North Carolina came out back in the win column against the Orange today. And it felt like at the start, the Orange were pretty much just getting dominated, but they actually finished with more points in the paint than UNC. But as far as the defense was concerned, the Orange had no paint presence.
Well, I think that paint presence number is always kind of a little bit misleading because it's just the layups that J.J. Starling has that makes it seem like they're good. But both on defense and offense, the bigs for Syracuse today were flat out doing nothing. I mean, you start off with Sadiq White, who has had 2 fouls in the first 10 minutes of the last 2 matchups. Where is the discipline out of your young player? And then William Kyle, maybe his role model on the team, what does he do? He fouls out with just 2 points. So when you're not getting contributions from your big men, especially against a huge UNC roster, nothing's going to go well, and that's exactly what happened.
I really liked what you said there about Sadiq White. 0 points in 4 fouls. Whenever you have more fouls than points scored, that's an issue. And Akir Soiree led that group in points. Who would have expected that? Akir Soiree can't really score. That's been noted all throughout the season. But yeah, I think William Kyle's, obviously the head of this group. He's struggling. This whole group is going to struggle. The presence in the paint has been awful these last couple of games, and it showed tonight.
It's still crazy that Soiree, for a good amount of this season, had a 0% field goal percentage. And he went 100% this game against North Carolina. And it feels like it's a little bit of disservice to call Donnie Freeman not a big man. But the reality is he can't play like a big because he has to do everything else for the Orange.
It's true. Donnie Freeman kind of is Syracuse, right? He is the guy who scored almost half of their points tonight. But it's all this ISO ball. Donnie Freeman gets the ball at the free throw line. He has a moment. He takes a deep breath. What's he going to do? All of UNC's players has time to really think about what they're going to do. How are they going to stop Donnie Freeman? And they got that under control because, listen, if Donnie's going off, that means everyone else on Syracuse is not really getting involved. So yes, Donnie, maybe a first-round pick, maybe he gets drafted in the second round. He can go out there and score, but it's also making it so SU's other players are not really doing much.
Yeah, I mean, when you only have to game plan for one really good player, then you're able to put a lot of concentration on him, and a couple of opponents have done that really well. Freeman with 23 points tonight, and for a lot of the game, he was half of SU's points. So when the other four guys, the other four starters, and the entire bench aren't even doing half of the work, what?
Yeah, also almost a third of the rebounds Donnie Freeman had compared to the rest of the team. I mean, that's something.
You really wish he had someone else to kind of bounce off of, because imagine if there's one more scoring threat. This is a dangerous team.
Well, and it's a very good way to show what you can do with halftime adjustments, because Donnie was dominating that first half, slowed down a little in that second because North Carolina made the adjustment and was guarding Donnie more tightly. But Syracuse didn't make the adjustment of moving the ball around anymore because UNC seemed to be moving the ball every which way, and the Orange just wanted to, I guess, hold the basketball and then maybe just hold for one shot.
And if you saw the game against Notre Dame on Saturday, it was so encouraging because the ball movement was incredible out of the Orange. They were making passes to the corner, they were getting the inside. Just really, really good team play out of Syracuse in that last game against Notre Dame. Today, it pretty much disappeared. Just 7 assists against 10 turnovers. That's a margin you never want to have. That turnovers number should never be higher. It happened tonight, and you just were not hitting the open guy, which is how you get points.
Right, and it's not even being selfish. I think it's just the game plan for Syracuse. I mean, they don't know what they're doing on the offensive side. Tied for the 5th worst in the ACC in assists per game. And obviously, when you think about assists per game, you think about Nate George. Like I said earlier in the show, only 4 assists for Nate George today. The assist game has been a real struggle for Syracuse so far this season. And when you're not dishing the ball to different players, how are you going to get the ball in the bucket? Because the defense is just going to be so isolated on one player, so stagnant on the offensive side. It's just a struggle all around.
I'll tell you how you aren't, and that's what happened to Syracuse.
Well, it's pretty obvious. We sound like a broken record talking about how Syracuse players still don't know their role, and it's the start of February. But I'll tell you what, one guy who knows his role so well on this UNC team, it's Caleb Wilson, and he is your Orange Press Pass player of the game. What can't this guy do at this point? Tonight was his 16th 20-plus point game, a rebound shy of a double-double, had some assists, had some steals, doing it on both sides for a guy that could potentially be talked about as a top 3 NBA draft pick in the future. Came in with all the hype and has delivered, has done pretty much everything the Orange have needed this season, and Caleb Wilson gave UNC the spark it needed to come out on top today over the Orange. He's your Orange Press Pass player of the game, and we've got plenty more to break down on this edition of Orange Press Pass, because when we come back, we talk about the biggest moments of the contest. We also discuss a film breakdown between the two. Caleb Wilson, I mean, he's feeling it, right? He did so well today. So Caleb Wilson, your Orange Press Pass player of the game. Mention that film breakdown when we come back here on Orange Press Pass. So make sure you stick with us, because when we return, we tell you about that film breakdown. We give you more plays about this guy, Caleb Wilson, and how he's been dominating the draft stock, why he's dominating this draft stock. So again, don't go away on this edition of Orange Press Pass. We will be right back. Stick with us. Orange Press Pass, Max Gifford with you. And if I didn't already tell you a million times, you already know what we're doing on this next segment, because it is time for Alex Burstein and Milo Hoffman to bring you the best from this game in our film breakdown.
And you take a look at this replay angle right here. Gill's got a wide open lane to the end zone.
Well, I'm not sure if Syracuse men's basketball has been watching enough film, but Milo and I have, and it's time to break down a couple of big plays from this big loss for Syracuse. And we'll start off early in the second half for Syracuse, and this is a play that really shows how SU can't score or pass right now. So J.J. Starling goes in, misses the layup, and there's the big board by Sadiq White. And we'll pause it right here. Nate George has 1, 2, 3, 4 guys around him. And you can really get the ball out to the corner. You can maybe do a pick and roll right here with Sadiq. Even get it to your sharpshooter, Nate Kings. Will roll the tape. What does he decide to do? Take himself into double team traffic, and he misses the shot. Syracuse gets another chance, though, because of the steal. This time, okay, they're going to attempt the pass, wide open shot, and just short rims it. That is a perfect example of how Syracuse could not shoot today, and more importantly, did not find the perfect pass, and it doomed SU all day long.
Yeah, J.J. Starling's foot was on the line on that last shot, too. Wasn't even counted for 3. We've been talking about the ball movement all day long, how it's really been a struggle for Syracuse, and that showed on this specific play. Let's roll the tape. Nate George walking the ball across the court, gets a little screen from Sadiq White. All right, he's dancing, top of the key. Now William Kyle gets it, and I'm going to pause it right here. William Kyle sets the screen. He's going to try to roll to the cup. But William Kyle is not a threat on the offensive side. He can't really do much. He can't score for himself. So let's roll it again. Nate Kings gets the ball. He kind of hesitates, kicks it back out to Tyler Betsy because William Kyle wasn't open on the pick and roll. They try to do it again. Nate George, a little crossover into the paint. He almost loses it. I mean, it's like a merry-go-round out here for Syracuse. And finally, the shot clock winds down. What a struggle that possession was for Syracuse. Almost like a microcosm of the entire night for SU against the Tar Heels. Those are our play breakdowns, but we've got the moment of the game with Max Gifford.
Yeah, you guys are negative Nancy's and pessimist Peters over here. I've got some positives for Syracuse for our moment of the game, because Donnie Freeman in this game, he pretty much dominated like we talked about. And in this moment, in the first half, he had a nice little rainbow 3, but why are we talking about this? We don't care about the moment. Syracuse got blown out by 10 points. We're talking about it because the top comment on Syracuse men's basketball's post, SMFH from, have you heard of him? Carmelo Anthony. If he is voicing his concern for this team in February, that's how you know that there's an issue and something needs to be addressed with this team. I mean, what is there left to say at this point except SMFH? This team has lost 4 of its last 5, nearly went on its worst losing streak since 1969 a game ago. And if it wasn't for playing a really bad Notre Dame team, chances are this team has lost 6 straight. And with a rough schedule ahead, that could even be 7 up to this point. The road does not get easier for the Orange, that is for sure. And you can imagine that comments like this by Carmelo Anthony will be echoed by all SU fans down the road as well. We've got just a little more time here on Orange Press Pass. So when we come back, we'll give you our sound off. We'll also give you our final thoughts on what was a tough game for the Orange. Once again on Orange Press Pass, stick with us.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Not too surprising, Syracuse lost again, this time to number 14 North Carolina, 87-77. And I mentioned that road does not get easier ahead. Max Gifford, Alex Burstein, and Milo Hoffman back with you for just a little bit on Orange Press Pass. And let's give you a look at that road ahead for the Orange. Starts just Saturday with number 18 Virginia. Then you get some very trap-esque games, you could call them. And most of these are still quad one opportunities for the Orange.
I don't think you can have a trap game when you've lost most of your games in the last 3 weeks.
Syracuse is the trap game for those other teams.
Sure.
Despite
might
not being
be
ranked, I should say.
Well, I don't see many wins out of this. There's the Chris Bell revenge game, maybe SMU, but a bad stretch for SU.
I really think Chris Bell is going to go off against Syracuse. I mean, he's been putting together a really impressive season over with the Golden Bears. A little Quadier Copeland-esque performance against SU for Chris Bell. That's what my prediction is.
Yeah, something about these transfers coming out. First you had Joe Girard, Quadier Copeland, and potentially even Chris Bell in just a couple of weeks. But that's not what we have to break down from this one. That comes a couple weeks from now because my analysts have to sound off after another tough loss for the Orange.
Detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. The 4 words echo around the Dome every Syracuse football season, but as the free falling continues for Syracuse men's basketball, the Orange really need to start embracing Dart on the hardwood. The details, missed pass after missed pass, crazy three-pointers, no consistency past Donnie Freeman. The accountability, well, listen to any post-game press conference and all you'll hear is, we'll do better next time. And it never does. Relentless? Syracuse has played a full 40 minutes of good basketball just once in 2026. And tough? Well, that doesn't mean 2 players fouling out and your bigs combining for 12 fouls. A little Dart could go a long way for Syracuse men's basketball.
Wow, we're bringing up football season again here on the Hill. That's not a good sign. One thing I'm going to talk about is Donnie Freeman. We all know he's a great individual player. He can pretty much score on everyone, averages 20 points per game, but this team simply cannot play with Donnie Freeman. What are the best games of this season? Forced overtime against number 3 Houston. Kansas was close in Vegas as well, and they beat number 13 Tennessee. What's the common theme? Donnie was not playing. Last time out against Notre Dame, Donnie didn't start, and I was in the Dome for that one. It was the best energy I've seen them play with all season long. So when Freeman is on the court, this team lets him go to work. He can score with anyone, score a whole lot of points, but the ball movement around this team just gets so stagnant. So it might sound crazy, but I think SU is better off without Donnie Freeman on the court.
Well, we'll see if that rings true. Still kind of an absurd take out of you, Milo, that they're better without their best player.
Just look at the past games. All the best games for Syracuse so far this season, Donnie Freeman has not been playing.
That's why you're not the coach.
Well, the Orange do have a losing record with Freeman. That should also be noted. Might continue that losing record when Virginia plays the Orange this Saturday. Another top 20 opponent. What do you make of this one?
I don't really think Syracuse has much of a chance, but like I said, a couple of close games for Virginia lately, so you just have to stay in it late.
84 points per game for the Cavaliers. That's going to be tough to stop for an SU defense that's been dwindling.
And that's never been the norm with Virginia teams under Tony Bennett. Now it's Ryan Odom at the helm for the Cavaliers, and he has really brought them to new heights after a tough campaign for the Cavaliers. We'll have that coverage for you this Saturday, but for now, for Milo Hoffman, Alex Burstein, I'm Max Gifford saying so long for now. Thanks for joining us.